Hello, guys, and welcome back to my YouTube show, Ruben's History Show, and happy Father's Day. Today, I'm going to talk about the emperor, the Roman who became the emperor of Rome, Vespasian, on July 1st, 69 AD, all the way to June 24th, 79 AD, all the way to his death. So he held that position for 9 years for 9 years, following the time when the Roman legions in Egypt swore an oath to him, and they declared him as the emperor of Rome at the time. So, but before I talk about Vespasian, I'm going to talk about his biography and his background before I talk about his rule as emperor. So Vespasian was born on November 17th, 9 AD, in the Roman village of Floricina, which is located in Italy, but then it was under the Roman Empire. He was born to Titus Flavius Vespasianus the first, who was his father, and Titus Flavius Sabinus the first was the son of Titus Flavius Petro, who was the grandfather of Vespasian. And he was born to Vespasian Pola, who was his mother at the time, and his grandfather Titus Flavius Petro was fighting at the Battle of Pharsalus under Pompey the Great, who was fighting against Julius Caesar at the Battle of Pharsalus, which is located in Greece. And the battle took place in 48 AD, and Vespasian's grandfather, Titus Flavius Petro, became a debt collector. He collected debts at the time when he was alive. So he and also in 36 AD, Vespasian was appointed the military tribune in Thrace. In Thrace, he held that position for 3 years under Tiberius and Caligula, from 36 AD all the way to 39 AD under the rule of Caligula. So he held that position from the time of Tiberius, who was the emperor of Rome from September 18th, 14 AD, just a month after the death of Augustus, all the way to his death in March 16th, 37 AD, and he held that position all under Caligula, who succeeded Tiberius as emperor of Rome following the death of Tiberius on March 16th, 37 AD. And also the following year in 37 AD, he was elected the quaestor of Rome during the rule of the first year when Caligula was the emperor of Rome at the time. So Vespasian was also married to Domitilla the elder, who was his first wife at the time, and they also had two sons and a daughter. The two sons' names were Titus, who would become the future emperor of Rome, and Domitian, who would become the emperor of Rome after his brother's death in 81 AD. And the daughter's name was Tellia the elder, who was born in 45 AD. So his wife and his daughter died before Vespasian became emperor in 69 AD, because Vespasian's daughter died in 66 AD when she was 19 years old, and her wife died before he became emperor. So during his time when he was in the Roman politics, he rose through the public ranks throughout the through the Roman public offices. First he was elected the aide, if that's how you pronounce it, in 39 AD, and then in 40 AD he was elected quaestor in the year 40 AD under the rule of Caligula. So he held those positions for some time, and he also held junior posts under Tiberius and Claudius during that time, and Vespasian became a praetor in 40 AD under the rule of Caligula. So, and then years later in 51 AD, under the rule of Claudius, Vespasian was elected the consul of Rome under the emperor Claudius, who was the emperor at the time, who succeeded his uncle Caligula as emperor of Rome. While Nero was in power in 63 AD, Vespasian was appointed the proconsul of Africa, which meant you were elected the military office the military he was a military commander of Africa. That's what proconsul means. So also he held that position for some time while he was in Africa. And in 66 AD, Vespasian traveled with Nero, the Roman emperor, to the Grecian Games, or which were the Olympic Games. They were held in Greece in 66 to 69 AD. So they were held for just he stayed in Greece for 1 year at the time. So also in 67 AD, he was put to command the Roman legions to stop the revolt in Israel, because there was a revolt in Israel going on, and then Israel came under Roman rule, Judea, which is present day Israel, where Jesus Christ was born. So the Romans subjugated Judea, and it became Roman Judea, which became a province of Rome, of the Roman Empire. So during it, and then in 69 AD, the war in Judea was winding down. It was calming down because the news arrived to Vespasian that Nero was dead. He committed suicide on June 9th, 69 AD, and Galba's succession when he became the emperor of Rome following the death of Nero on June 9th, 69 AD. So he was the emperor. He became the emperor following Nero's death, and Galba held that position for just 7 months, from June 9th, 69 AD, all the way to January 15th, 69 AD, when he was killed by Otho's supporters. So they killed him after he ruled the empire for just 7 months as the emperor of Rome. So also under the rule of Otho, no, not the rule of Otho, under the rule of Vitellius, who was the emperor of Rome at the time, and Vespasian was in Egypt at the time, and the Egyptian governor of Egypt, or the Roman province of Egypt, declared that Vespasian was the rightful emperor of Rome. So the Egyptian governor had his legions in Alexandria, and they swore an oath to Vespasian, and they declared him as the emperor of Rome. The Egyptian governor had his legions, declared him as the emperor of Rome. And 2 days later, on July 3rd, 69 A.D., the Judean legions declared Vespasian as the emperor of Rome, and they swore an oath to Vespasian. They swore loyalty to him. They were being loyal to him at the time. So Vespasian did not enter the city of Rome until July or September of 70 AD, because he was still in Egypt at the time. And he stayed there for some time, because that's where he was in Egypt, because he served in Egypt at the time. So yeah, and then also another important thing I missed was under the rule of Claudius in 41 AD. Vespasian was stationed in Germania to fight the Germans. And also in 43 AD, Vespasian took part in the Roman invasion of Britain, which was to take over Britain and bring it under Roman rule. So yeah, those were one of the missions that Vespasian took part in. So also in during Vespasian's rule, there was this major building projects that built the temples, the temple of peace, which was built in the Roman Empire at the time. And there was also the Colosseum, which was built in Rome. It was built on the Golden House. It was built on the site of the Golden House, which was a palace built under the rule of the Roman Emperor Nero. That was Nero's palace. It was built. The Colosseum was built in 79 A.D. It was built in 79 A.D. under his rule, and I believe it was completed and I believe it was completed under the rule of Titus, who was the emperor, who was the son of Vespasian, and it was completed under the rule of Titus. And the Colosseum was completed under the rule of Titus, who was the emperor who succeeded his father Vespasian, on June 24th, 79 A.D. So also, while Vespasian was in no, but Vespasian remained in the city of Rome for the rest of his rule as emperor. He didn't go anywhere. But then, while he was in Campina, he was in Campina at the time, and he also caught an illness, and he got very sick. He got sick. And then he returned to Rome. That's where he stayed at the time. And then he died on June 24th, 79 AD. Vespasian died. He died at the age of 69 in Rome, and his son would succeed him. Titus would succeed him on on June 24th, 79 AD, and his son Titus would hold that position all the way until his death on September 13th, 81 AD. And then he was succeeded by his brother Titus. No, not Titus, Domitian, who would held the position of the Roman emperor from September 13th, 81 AD, all the way to, what was it, November 8th, 96 AD, when he was assassinated by the Roman Praetorian Guards, which was a Roman army at the time. So Yep, that's the rule of Vespasian, who was the emperor of Rome, who was the emperor of Rome for for 9 years, but it was almost 10 years, because he was in power from July 1st, 69 A.D., all the way to all the way to June June 24th, 79 AD. And when he took power, he established the Flavian dynasty, which was the second dynasty of the Roman Empire following the Julio-Claudinian dynasty, which was the first dynasty of Rome established under Augustus, which lasted from 27 BC all the way to 69 AD. So that was the dynasty that that the second dynasty of the Roman Empire after the Julio-Claudinian dynasty. So that was the rule. And then in my next video, I'm going to talk about Titus, the son of Vespasian, who succeeded him as the Roman emperor, and also I am going to talk about Domitian, who succeeded his brother as Roman emperor on September 13, 81 AD. And then after that, I'm going to talk about Nerva, who was the emperor of Rome and the father of Trajan, who succeeded Domitian. And I'm going to talk about the other emperors in my future videos. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully you learned something, and more videos are coming up soon.